even tell you that it's being recorded. We want to have this available so that others can access it later, or if some points in the seminar that you all want to go back to and refer to later, we will have that available. So let's see, what else I got on my list? We'll do Q&A at the end. Like I said, if you want to do questions during the presentation, just go into the chat box and you can enter your questions there, and they'll be watching those during the course of the presentation. I want to give you a quick bio on our presenters today. Jacob Orrison is a member of the AdamsGabbert team. AdamsGabbert is a proud member of the Leawood Chamber. They are a technology service firm where trust, transparency, and collaboration matter. AG's team includes Jacob, who has been with AG almost 20 years, and he leads their tech services and advisory services line of business. Stacy Rose is AG's Chief Operating Officer. She's responsible for making sure that all systems are go, whether that's taking care of clients or their associates in person or virtually. For the past 7 years, Stacy has been instrumental in many of AG's tech advances as well as growth overall. And then Denise Kurse, who I will be turning things over to here in just a second, is AG's CEO. She celebrated her 10th year with the company. During her tenure as the CEO, AG has grown exponentially in revenue and employees and has received a number of honors, including being named one of Kansas City Business Journal's top 25 women-owned businesses and to the Ingram's Corporate Report Top 100. So thank you guys for being with us today. Now I'm going to do a little magic here, try to turn the privileges to Jacob. Convenient, it's alphabetical. I love these things. If y'all haven't used these much, they're lots of fun. I just muted him, so I will unmute him, make him presenter, and okay, I think you're in charge now, Jacob. Take it away.
Great. And Jacob's going to drive, and I'm going to talk first. And Jacob's probably used to me talking, so that'd be great. Kevin, thank you, and Deanna and team at the Leawood Chamber. We appreciate being able to share some of the expertise that we do have around Microsoft Office 365 and specifically the power of teams in the workplace. We thank you all for joining us very much. We know that you have many things you could pick to do with this time frame today, and we appreciate you joining us virtual as it is. We are going to be pretty active today from some demos, and as Kevin said, please do submit any questions in the chat as you go along, and we'll get those answered at the end or following the presentation, depending on how much time we have. If you want to go ahead and move that, Jacob. So as you saw, we are a Microsoft Office partner, but what you can expect today is a little bit of an overview about what is Teams, a little bit about why do you need Teams, and then we are going to actually have a demo, a live demo on Teams, and then what are next steps and what do you do from here, how do you get Teams, and then as we said, we'd have questions and answers. One of the reasons that we want to share this with you is not only is this something that we deliver to our clients, but it's something that we live and breathe every day. And we were doing this already, and then when we had to work from home and it became a virtual way to collaborate, luckily we had that in place, as did a number of our clients, and it literally has been a game changer in the ability to collaborate from wherever we are. So that we do that are, I know we saw the list that are on the presentation that are from some larger companies in town. Hopefully you'll still gain some information about ways to use specific teams, but our specialty is really supporting small and mid-sized businesses in the actual tech support and teams specifically for them. So we're going to jump right in because with so many people on the call and a window of time, we want to make sure everyone gets the most value out of this. If you use your chat button, we are going to ask you to just answer with 1, 2, or 3, just the number 1, number 2, or number 3. How much do you or your company know about Teams? And if you put 1, it's my company doesn't have Teams. 2, my company has Teams, but we are not utilizing it. Or 3, my company has Teams and we are using it, but still have lots of questions to answer. So if you can hit the chat at this point. I'm going to give just a minute for some of these, the rest of these to come through. Looks like we've got a lot of 3s and a few 2s from those that responded. So that gives us an ability to know kind of where the where you are. And like I said, we'll, especially in the demo, we'll handle accordingly. Thank you for that. As you go forward, collaboration, when it's titled is how the work gets done, it really is. And I know all of you that are working from home or working virtually right now have probably figured out that there are big gaps in this, and there's sometimes redundancies, etc. But we know that employees are working on nearly 2 times the number of teams that we were compared to just 5 years ago, and exponentially that is continuing to increase. So having so many people externally, internally, clients, supplier partners, vendors, etc., as well as all the other people that we do business with. If you think in your workplace, how many different teams you interact with on a, or people from a team on a daily basis, for most of us, it's pretty extraordinary. So in speaking and thinking about the internal and external team members, these are team members that we would have outside the firewall of our internal staff or internal team. So for instance, if you think about with the Leawood Chamber, the internal staff would be internal, but then all of us as members of the chamber would be external. Now, there's a lot of things you can do to set up files and folders, etc. And as an example, we partner with Crux, who's a marketing firm that does all of our marketing and communications around social media, etc. And we have a folder set up in Teams that is strictly for them to populate and us to populate, and they and us are the only ones that see that. But that saves so much of sending things back and forth, email, wondering which version you have. Does everyone have the right version they're using, all the documents? We just drop it in the same folder and we both have access to it. Geographically distributed, well, we don't need to talk a lot about that today because almost everyone on this call is geographically distributed from the rest of their team due to the world we're living in right now, but it becomes even more critical. And then obviously, if you've got different expectations and preferences and experience for your multi-generation workforce, that we all cover the span of that as well. I should mention probably it might be a little bit slow. It's probably not Teams, but we're dealing with all kinds of variety of home internets. So if you see something that there is a little bit of a lag, know that as you've been hearing in the news, there's probably quite a bit of bandwidth being used throughout the day in today's world. So I'm going to turn this over to Stacy now, and Stacy's going to take us through the brief overview and then really dig into a demo so you can all see and experience working in Teams. Stacy?
Hello. So I did want to just make a comment on the chat responses. It does look like, as Denise mentioned, that a lot of you are using Teams pretty actively, and so what we may be covering today could be a little basic for you, but or just a review. And also when we get to the demo, some of those things that we're showing are fairly basic, but we also are going to try and incorporate a couple of higher level things that could be of interest as well. I also think a lot of you called in today, and if you're on the phone, you weren't probably able to participate in the chat, so it'll be interesting to get some feedback from you towards the end of the webinar as well. So as you look at the slide you're seeing right now, is just the overview of Microsoft Teams, and really all it really is, it's a chat-based workspace in Office 365. It's very active for chatting. It's a great hub to pull together a lot of your disparate systems. It's customizable for each team, each company, and the security is there that we're all hoping for and need, especially now. Jacob, you wanna? Yeah. And then with regards to the chat, just things to keep in mind, it does keep a threaded, persistent chat going in all the various teams, channels, and private chats as well. You can have an open group chat or the private one-on-one conversations. You can easily switch between teams. If any of you are utilizing the really chat room or the chat functions, you've seen the emojis and the GIFs and the stickers and the custom memes even that you can create, which adds a little bit of fun to the virtual work team. The mobile voice and video calling and email and calendar integration are all highly utilized tools on our end. It just really creates a great hub for all you need to do in the day, incorporating the Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneDrive, OneNote. There's it integrates to a SharePoint. It really is the front end of SharePoint. Power BI, Planner. We're going to touch on Planner in a little bit. You can search across people, files, chats. You can have ad hoc and scheduled meetings. My day starts every day. The first thing I do is I'm in Teams, and I pretty much can do everything I need to do for the day within Teams. You can see it's customizable, so there are lots of different apps and tabs and bots that are available. You can create tailored channels. You can integrate common cloud services. There's notifications. The bots, as I mentioned earlier, lots of partner integrations. And for those of you that have Teams, you're probably already discovered the mobile apps that you can get on your phone, and it's seamless, sends notifications, even to my watch. I get Teams notifications. So now we're just going to zip through a demo of sorts. We've created a sandbox environment where we can show you certain things that we do and utilize. This obviously is not our full team environment. What you're seeing here is just the demo and testing environment we've created. But if you were to look at our full teams, you would see that it is broken down with lots of different teams. We've broken them out with HR and marketing and operations and clients and sales, and those are all different and varying teams. But generally, if you look at the team, so the team you're looking at here is the demo and testing team. And within a team, you have varying channels. And so Jacob, if you expand those three dots on the team, you'll see some of the things that you have from an administrative standpoint is you can manage the team, you can add additional channels, add a member, you can leave a team, you can get the link directly to the team and manage tags. And then if you just jump down and look at some of these channels, the first thing you'll see is general, and every team has a general channel, and that's where you'll see we've got some just fun chats going back and forth within the organization. Our AG, AdamsGabbert internal channel is just loaded with different things that team members have put out there for points of reference or just fun things. We've shared some links for workouts and just some silly things. There's a Polly is a polling app that some of you may be familiar with that we can just pop it in within Teams and we can poll on silly things like that, the pizza toppings, or you can make it what topic would you like us to cover at the next webinar kind of poll. It could be as serious or as fun as you need it to be. You will also see that within the team, we have a private channel that is locked down, so only certain people. It's very customizable to the things and the items that people you want them to see. So that one is obviously private. There's also a hidden channel right below that, and we can expand on the hidden channel, and that's the ops channel. And the purpose for a hidden channel might just be that it's a channel you have access to, but you don't ever really work in that channel. It's not necessary to look at all of your teams and all of your channels at the same time. And so just from an organization standpoint, it might be just beneficial for you to show the top 2 channels that you're working on pretty consistently. Another thing I wanted to point out is within the implementation project channel, you do have the ability to send emails directly into a channel. So for example, Jacob, if you go back up to the 3 dots there, next to implementation, if you drop down that channel actually has an email address, and the email address associated with that channel can be used to just send, whether it's articles or direct emails that affect something going on with that particular channel. You can send it directly into the channel, and it's there for reference. So you're not scrolling through 100 emails trying to figure out where was that email about the project we're working on. You can just send it directly into the channel, which is a great feature. And then I just wanted to talk just a little bit about the chat function. If you're using Teams, you're probably using chat. You can have private chats. There's threaded chats or channel chats. And another thing that I think is kind of fun and interesting is you can also use bots within the chats. We're going to just quickly show you a Zoom bot, because Zoom, and we can get into the details on why we would be doing a Teams video conference versus a Zoom video conference versus a webinar like the Global Meet setup that we have today. You can ask questions about that later, but in this particular situation, we just used a bot, the Zoom bot, and basically gave us the option to schedule a quick meeting. We're going to schedule it directly within the Teams platform, and it'll integrate directly with your calendar within Teams and also within Outlook. And it creates just an instant, either you can do an instant Zoom link where you want to chat with your team or do a video call with your team through Zoom immediately, or you can schedule one as Jacob just did there. And it notifies, you'll see the notifications that popped up on the side. It'll notify the folks within that channel that you scheduled a Zoom call. Also, the calendar integration, it does integrate with your Outlook calendar. So when you pull this up, you will see all the meetings that you show, and you can work directly from here. All of your video conference links would be directly within here as they would within Outlook. You can use this functionality to schedule a meeting. Up in the upper right hand corner, you can add a new meeting, or you can do a Meet Now function where you just click on that and you meet directly. And that allows you to utilize the Teams calling function, which I'm going to get to in just a second. So the phone on the left-hand side is the calling function, and you can make calls directly. You can make video calls, and also if you go down to the bottom there at the voicemail, you can also leave voicemails to these folks, and it creates a transcript of the voicemail as well. So let's see if we can't give somebody a quick video call. Let's see, Jacob, where are you? Is Nuss, you want to try Nuss? Let's see if she's available. And I don't know how often you guys use this functionality if you're using Teams, but my daily interactions, especially now, is very much Teams based. All of my internal folks that I deal with, we do constant team calls back and forth. Let's see. Well, hello, Nuss. Oh,
I don't have my
Well,
camera turned on for her,
you see,
so there's no
how it
feedback.
works. So we've just reached out to Ness. She's there. I might be even actually on this webinar with us right now. And so that is a great function. And if you're using that and you also have your mobile app, it does bring directly through the app on your phone, and you can answer calls on your phone just like you would a normal cell phone call. So files, down the file tab on the left-hand side, that's really where most recent files are. And if you look, you'll see that Teams document, and you'll see that we have the ability to work in lifetime with Teams docs. And I need to get to mine. I did not have mine pulled up.
So just clicking on the document basically just opens up the Word document within the Teams application. And this is the browser-based version of Teams. This is not the actual desktop application that we're showing right here. So currently, collaboration tool, open Teams just in the browser so that we could look at it. And now that Stacy has actually opened the document as well, you can see that her icon shows up here, and she's actually able to type in the document, and I can see her changes in real time as well.
Okay, so that functionality is great. You can also right here leave comments. You can leave tracking and things like that within the document if you want to add edits. It's a powerful tool, and I hope a lot of you, and I assume a lot of you, since you all, most of you put 3, so that means that you're probably pretty avid Teams users at this point, which is great. Okay, so the search functionality, that just is, I just wanted to point out, and I don't think I changed that other thing, Jacob. So you can hashtag any chats or anything you're doing or doing mentions. You can search for files, but let's just say that you're actively working on a project that is going to require you to have a lot of documents all in the same place, or maybe you put them in a lot of different places and you want to pull them all together. By adding a hashtag and a chat, it helps you consolidate a lot of those things. It also gives you, it's pretty robust search function. I apologize, my dog is just barking. And you'll see Jacob's kind of running through some of the search functionality. So one other thing I wanted to touch base on are app integrations and bot integrations. So if you look at, if you want to go down, Jacob, and just show about adding a tab on the left, sorry, or yeah, you can do that there, of course. So I'm not sure how familiar any of you are with adding a bunch of these varying apps or tabs that you can do, but we have incorporated Poly to some extent. Our operations team uses the planner tab, and that's just a fairly basic project planning tool. And I'd like to go ahead and show you that a little bit on Planner, just so you can get a flavor of that. Let's see. So at the top of our implementation project in the team, I'm sorry, in the channel, you'll see we have a tab up top that's called Implementation Plan. And this really is the Planner integration. And so it allows you to add tasks, and you'll see in buckets. So we have a sales bucket, a planning bucket, and within the sales bucket, you'll see we've created some tasks, some client appreciation gifts, completing the statement of work process. And within the task, you'll see there's a checklist of all the things that need to be done. And as you complete them, you can check them. And it really is just a great way to kind of stay on top of lots of varying projects within your organization. You'll see to the right there also there were some color codes, so you can code things. You can assign the task. So you'll see at the top of the statement of work process, you can see that we've got a couple people assigned specifically to that task, which is great for accountability. And then you'll also see, as you close out of that, Jacob, we have some charts and the schedules associated with it. So it's basically just some different views that allow you to track your progress along the varying plans and the varying assignments that you have going on here. So it's a fairly simple project planning application, but it really does work well within Teams. And there are so many other options out there, but that's just one that we happen to use pretty frequently. So that's really some of our demo and overview and the way that we use Teams. We're going to touch a little bit more in detail just in the times we're in right now, and the virtual workforce that we've been dictated now that we have. It's important to find ways to stay connected with your team. And so Denise is actually going to grab back and talk a little bit about some of the culture and some of the things that we're doing for our team. Some of them we're utilizing Microsoft Teams, and some are just some other fun little things that we're doing to keep our staff engaged while we're working from home.
Thank you, Stacy.
Denise, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me? Yep. Okay. So yes, thanks, Stacy. So those of you that have the visual up, you can see there the AG culture of engagement. As Stacy mentioned, there are so many things that we do at AdamsGabbert, and I'm sure many of you do in your companies, to try to demonstrate and create and feed your culture. At AG, our culture is very important to us. We make sure that we're taking care of our clients and we're taking care of our associates and our community. And a number of the things, as Stacy said, are in Teams, and the collaborative ability that Teams provides us makes it easy to do some of that. But also we've decided, we were asked by a number of people, what are some other things we're doing? And I know you all are doing different things too, which we love to learn from others. But one of the things that we do is we have all hands 2 times a week video conferences. In fact, our next one is at noon today. Those are what we call mandatory, but we don't really need to make them mandatory because everyone wants to jump on the video call for 30 minutes 2 times a day. And that's where we're just sharing. How are people doing? What are their things that they're winning? What are they having struggles with? What are some fun things? Just a lot of different things. We make those as entertaining as we can. Last Thursday was supposed to be the Royals home opener, as we're all aware, so we all wore our Royals gear. We've had crazy hats. We've had a little concert by one of our guys that played his guitar and put a wig on and made us laugh. So they're sharing business, and then they're also just sharing because we're not together, and that connectivity is something that we all hunger for. Every day we have different areas within our organization, specific work groups that do ad hoc calls, or they have their standing daily 1 or 2 times a day stand-up calls that we're doing through the Teams video. And again, ways that we can connect, that we don't lose that feeling, and the little things that happen that we usually stand up in your cube or walk down the hall or see each other in the kitchen and share. We try to do that, as well as the business that needs to get done. We've also decided that each week since we started this, which we've now had 3 weeks, although we're an essential business because of the IT support that we provide for small and mid-sized companies, and then the staffing for a lot of IT for larger companies, we made a choice very early on to early adopt and the work from home to do our part. And so we have been working from home now for over 3 weeks. But we've done things, everything from had email delivery of DoorDash and told our team, of our internal team, individually received this and said, you know, lunch is on us. We often buy lunch in the office, so this was one way we could get lunch to them. We've dropped at people's porch the little charcuterie tray that you see pictured there, and just a fun little thing to say, hey, we're thinking of you, and a little treat for you. And then because a lot of people have found that having a glass of wine is maybe essential this time of our lives. But we also did a porch drop of wine for our team and told them to enjoy with their friends or families. And there's a lot of things like that that we're doing to make sure that we surprise our individuals and make sure that they know that we're thinking about them and caring about them, even as we have to keep working really hard to keep business as it has been in the past. So we also, this channels that you see in the team chats, when Stacy said she starts her day that way, we do. And it's so easy when you get into the habit of just making a team quick call or a chat, and then you can go back and forth and you can add someone else in or you can drop someone else out, etc., by making just a different channel, a different chat. It is so easy to get so much done quickly as opposed to the more traditional email that you have to think about what you were trying to say more in depth. You can set up channels that are just for certain groups of people in your organization. We have a leadership channel that's just for our leadership team, that if there's things that we need to cover in that, we can have documents in there. We have anything that's stored in there that we work on, some of the things, as well as the chats. And then we can keep a list and a trail, as Stacy mentioned in her demo, so we know which areas that we've already discussed. We can go back and review those at any point. One of our team, Zach, posts a word of the day every day, and then we have fun with trying to find different ways of using it. Again, just to keep us engaged and connected. We'll post interesting articles or blogs, and a lot of times those are things that we are seeing out in our world, and we want to make sure that we share them quickly, and so we can do that through the Teams channel or the Teams apps very easily. One of the things that I'm not sure if we mentioned already or not, but it's important that we have the ability to use the mobile devices, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But wherever we are, in whatever stage, there is a mobile device that can be downloaded to use Teams, and so it becomes just, again, one of the apps that you use, not just in front of your computer. So I want to make sure and mention that. But that's just a little bit more about how we try to take care of each other and stay connected. A lot of it is using Teams, and a lot of it is saying, you know what, we have to get creative in these times. And so we'd love if anyone wants to share some of the ways that you're also staying connected to your teams. Please pop that in the chat as well, and we can discuss that too. I want to move on to one of our little quick testimonials from another one of our clients, Rick Finfera, who's CEO of Legacy Brokers. And they've been using Teams for a while, and they're a client of ours. And you can read, those of you that can see it, I'm going to read it just in case you are only on audio. But Rick's quote is, "Not only are we connected and more efficient, but we also won new business after meeting with a prospective client via Teams. We couldn't have done it without AG." And the point of this is just it was showing them a new way to do things, and they started using Teams prior to the virtual workforce. But then we helped them with getting everything set up, computers and everything else for them to all work virtual. But they are tracking business to being able to use Teams as opposed to what they used to jump on a plane or something like that and try to get in front of people. So it's made them a lot more efficient. And that's our point, is we hope that some of these tools, just becoming exposed to them, will make us all a little bit more efficient, and maybe new ways of doing things post the kind of stay at home that we have today. So from there, some of you are asking, now what? And so we're going to talk through just a few things about where you might be able to go, next steps, and now what do you do with all this information. So one of the questions that's frequently asked right up front is, how do I know what version of Teams is right for my organization? There's everything from the free version of Teams to different fees on a monthly basis that are license fees for users within an organization. Again, all of those can be used, and we know organizations that are using any and all of them well. The point is making sure that you know which is the right one to use for your organization, and that can be a little overwhelming with information. So we're happy to help you sort through that. How do we cut through all this information? Any of you that have ever just searched Microsoft Teams or Office 365 knows there are thousands and thousands of documents and videos, and it's an overwhelming amount of information, and you're trying to diamond mine through all the dirt and find out what's accurate and best for your organization. So helping cut through the clutter is something that, again, having someone do the shortcuts for you and understanding your needs and what you're going to use it for. You might not need the full teams of everything, or you might need more than what you thought you were going to get. So, and then if you already have Office 365, which it looks like a lot of you already do, and then you have access to Teams. What we found is some have Teams and use it on basics, and then some set it up and really get optimal results for you and your team and your clients and the way you do business. So that's what we'd love to help you also, is just how do you get those optimal results so there's not the gaps and there's not the redundancies. And like Stacy said in the demo, we tried to highlight in the essence of time and being on a video just a few of the things, but understanding what your business is and understanding what you want to use Teams and what you're trying to achieve and your goals, that'll help us know what that is, and we're happy to help guide. Where do I start? That's what we often hear is, so I have all this information, now what? Now where do I start? So we're happy to schedule a free virtual assessment for anyone on this call. We've offered that to the Leawood Chamber members for this call. So feel free to reach out to us if you would like. We'll have our contact information in the end. And then we're also sharing with you some resources that we'd love to have you. And again, I know if you can't download this, I know Kevin mentioned he would have this recorded and also that it would be sent out to everyone. So there are actual links in here on the resources slide. And these are, the first two are documentation from Microsoft that will provide you an overview of software versions, functionality, show you some of the differences between free and some of the ones that have different fees that you can look at. The security and compliance, as you know, Microsoft is very careful, very high security, and all the details there for any of you that are interested and concerned, which most of us are, in understanding that Microsoft has outlined all that. The second two bullets are really speaking more towards some of the training, because just because we get something new, if you're anything like me, then I need training on how to use it to the best of my ability, and how to make sure that I'm not just using the bare bones, but I'm really leveraging it and making my day more effective. So there's both instructor-led and free webinars, and you'll see those links as well. That Microsoft Teams intro video is a great video that you could use and share with others in your organization. It's just a wonderful little overview, and it's like 2 minutes and 40 seconds or something, so a quick overview. And then, as I mentioned briefly earlier, there are both the iOS and Android apps available for your mobile devices, as well as there's a free PC version as well. So hopefully some of those links will come into play and be helpful to you. So at this point, we have some chat questions, and then we'd love to open it up to any of the rest of the questions that you have. We can answer a couple of the questions, but we thought it might be helpful if you heard live from one of the organizations that is using Teams and is a newer user to Teams this year. And I think Becky Schreiber of Crux is going to speak for just a minute on real life examples, some of the challenges that maybe they found, and problems that were solved. So hopefully we've got Becky unmuted, and if so, we'll let you take it for a minute, Becky, and then we'll go back to Q&A, Jacob and Stacy.
Yeah, hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yep,
yes.
I hear you.
Awesome. Hi, yeah, I was sitting here trying to imagine a time before Teams, and I really can't. It's such an integral part of our culture at Crux. So, you know, once the shelter in place started, we were just able to make a seamless transition to home. It was just, it literally, there was no lost productivity. There were no connectivity issues. And we're now doing daily morning stand-ups via Teams and Friday virtual happy hours via Teams. And then during the week, we're also sharing client files securely, as Denise mentioned. And what I love the most, I think, two things. One is, you know, we edit a lot of content and designs. And so I can look from my phone and I can edit a Word document really quickly. And the mobile feature for me is a game changer. And the other thing that I love and that our team loves is that we kind of have a channel where we just share, you know, memes or GIFs, and we even have a shared playlist for these are our songs that either get us revved up or when we're stressed out. So it's just a really good team builder from that aspect. So we use Teams all the time, and great to always know if something goes wrong. We do have a resource in AdamsGabbert for immediate customer service.
Thanks so much, Becky. We're going to take it from here and answer a few of the questions. Stacy, I'll turn it over to you, and then we'll answer as many of the questions as we can that have come in through the chat. And if you have any additional questions, please just hit the little bubble up above that is the chat and type it in, and we'll get you answered.
Okay, so Theresa Stewart had a question. Where does the Word doc save? It's in Teams, but not on the drive. So I'm going to let Jacob give you the technical talk answer for this.
So what I did is on our Teams channel, the Teams document that we had looked at previously was this teams.doc file. And in the channel, there's a file section. So whenever a team is generated, there's a back-end SharePoint document repository that's also created specifically for that channel, that team, and then also the individual channels are created as a folder within that document repository. There is a slight difference when you have a private channel because it has additional security functionality built into it, where the private channel files are actually separate from the standard storage. But in this instance, the team document is actually stored in SharePoint. If you want it to be stored locally, there is a sync button on the files section of Teams, and that allows you to actually sync it down to your local computer using the OneDrive application. And what that would do is, based off of the security settings for your organization, if that's enabled, you'll be able to download those to your computer such that if you're offline, the files that you have actually downloaded and synced will be available for you to edit and update. Once you reconnect to the internet, if you had been disconnected, those syncs would occur through OneDrive. Those updates would be pushed to the team and synced through OneDrive. So one of the benefits with this, I can click on Open in SharePoint, and it'll actually take me to the direct storage location for those files. And when I look at the file, if I wanted to see what had happened to the file, I can click on the three dots right here and actually look at the version history for that specific document, that team document that we just did. Now, based off of what your admin configuration is for SharePoint and document repository, it will limit the number of versions that you actually can retain. But in this instance, you can see that there's been several different edits have occurred on that document, and you can go back in time and look at those individual files if you need to. But the file has been uploaded and saved into the team, and that's where that file actually resides and is able to be accessed by all the team members for that document. So
Right.
hopefully,
Thanks.
Theresa, that answers your question.
Thanks,
It
Theresa.
does.
That's a
Yeah,
great
it does. Thank you very much, Jacob. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Kevin wants to know what we think of Trello as a planning app.
And basically, Trello is similar to Planner and some of the functionality of the cards and the applications. It is there's a free version and some paid subscription versions to it. It basically depends on what you're actually needing to use and how detailed you need to go into the planning functionality. There are some different options available. So really it depends on how your organization is managing projects and what you're trying to manage. If there's task management and individual dependencies upon different tasks and projects, you could need something more robust, such as Microsoft Project or Asana or Jira, depending on the different issues or projects that you're tracking. So I think it's depending on what you're using it for, would depend on what the answer would be for how robust of a project management tool you need. But my suggestion would be that if you feel that by the description and going through their website, it looks like a tool that would be beneficial to you, give it a try and see if the task management and the shared boards and such provide you the functionality that you need. Thanks. I would say to take a look at Planner as well, because it is fairly similar in some of the board and task management and assignment aspects to it, but it's kind of a little bit of a personal preference and what you're actually trying to manage within the project.
Thank you.
Okay, Patricia Patton wants to know, is there a way to have breakout sessions or rooms for Teams meetings?
And as we had talked before, you can have channels set up for individual departments or meetings. One of the other options is also some group chat functionality. So you can actually have multiple people added into a same chat, so that you could have a larger group be a group chat that you use in conjunction with your meeting. But you could also have just when you set up a team meeting, basically it opens up a group chat, and it also allows you to have multiple people within a team meeting to manage those things as well. The benefit of having a specific channel set up for it is that it would retain the history, as Stacy mentioned, is a persistent history for all the chat functionality. So if you had a new team member that came to that organization or to that team, as soon as you added them to that channel, they'd be able to actually scroll up and see all of the chats that occurred within that channel for the history of those team meetings that have occurred in the past. So it might be a separate team that you had set up that was just associated with department meetings and such, and then a channel underneath that could be an individual channel associated to each of the department's teams if you wanted a history or persistent documents and such associated just with that team meeting group.
Okay. Thank you. So are there any other questions out there? I don't see any others coming in through the chat. I know we have some call-in folks. I don't know, Kevin, if we want to unmute and see if any of the callers have any questions or not. I guess. Give
me just a minute to unmute. You know,
yeah, I think they can unmute if they might be able to unmute themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, if there's any others. Okay. Okay, so is there anyone else out there? Well, it looks like most of you are using Teams. Are there any other things that potentially tools you're using that you just absolutely love, integrations that maybe we didn't touch on, or any kind of employee engagement type activities that maybe you're doing through Teams?
And real quick, I'll show one other thing. If someone has something, please say something. But when Stacy had mentioned the voicemail piece, so within Teams, you can call the other individuals through Teams and leave a voicemail in Teams. The transcript that she mentioned actually gets emailed to the end user. So this is the outlook for our demo, and basically the audio file is attached, and then there's actually a transcription of actually what was said on the call and who it came from. And so it can provide a good way to see information and just read it if you're not able to listen to it, but it also does give you the audio file as well. And you can also listen to the actual audio within Teams as well by clicking on the voicemail and such too.
Okay, one thing I'm gonna throw out there, because Sean just piped up and would like us to demonstrate a group chat.
Sure.
And then he added, please with a smiley face. So it's important.
That's really important.
So Jacob is adding users right now. And obviously those are our internal Teams users right now. And by including us there it is. And let me see here.
I got it on my watch, in my phone, in my computer.
And so what I also wanted to show here was I was starting to add another person. So when I'm adding myself as a user, some of the options that I can include is that if I want to include the actual chat history, so when they're added, they can see everything that had been going on in there, or if there was a long chat chain as well, such as the team meeting that you had mentioned or asked about before. If you only want to include a certain duration of the history of the chats, you could select that, and then you could update that if you had multiple days. If you said, oh, well, I want the last 3 days of chats to be available. Otherwise, you can include all the history. And so then adding myself in, it actually added in there as well. And so this is my other chat section, and I can actually see this is the group chat on my desktop application associated for that. And so I can chat on there, and then I can come back in here. You can see that the chat basically came through from myself back to demo, and then Stacy was added back on there as well. I can do an instant reaction to something that Stacy said, and I can just say, I liked it. And then you can also send something back if you wanted to actually start a meeting. Some of the gifts that she had mentioned, you can just do some searches, and there's some local gifts that come up, and so you can add in some quirky little animations or other gifts to chats just to provide some additional personalization to the conversation as well. But basically, that's group chat. It does show up in my chat history over here as well, and so I can just come back to that chat as needed.
All right, thanks, Jacob. I think we don't have any more questions coming in. But did anybody want to add any best practices or things that they love about Teams? Okay, well, there's our contact information. And I believe Kevin said he will be making this available for after. So if you all need to reach out to us, please feel free to do so. We are happy to answer any questions you may have. And if you think of something after we're finished today, please reach out and we're happy to help.
Well, Jacob, Stacy, Denise, thank you so much for sharing all this information with us today, and look forward to more of these video chat type things from our members and folks outside of our organization to keep us all connected while we're stuck at home, even though it's now a beautiful day outside. So I encourage you to get out and take a walk over your lunch. Thanks everybody for being here today.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.